Tia and Sia, two women renowned for their beauty, had both married Hamza, the wealthiest man in the village. For Hamza, having two beautiful wives was a symbol of his power and prestige. But for Tia and Sia, this marriage was much more, a competition for status, affection, and control. Tia, drawn to the stability of Hamza's wealth, desired the luxurious life he could provide, while Sia craved the influence and respect that came with being his wife. Though their reasons were different, they both knew they would never let the other win. From the moment they began sharing Hamza's home, the rivalry between Tia and Sia simmered beneath the surface. Though outwardly they smiled and maintained a facade of civility, beneath the pleasantries lay deep hostility. They fought for Hamza's attention in ways that were invisible to him but painfully obvious to each other. It started with small acts of sabotage. Tia, known for her cooking skills, had prepared Hamza's favorite dish, lamb stew with fragrant spices. She had worked meticulously, knowing Hamza would shower her with praise. But as she placed the pot on the table, Sia casually walked by and knocked it over, spilling the stew all over the floor. Her face twisted in mock horror as she apologized, cleaning up the mess with a smile that barely concealed her satisfaction. Hamza, tired from his long day, dismissed it as an accident. But Tia, seething with anger, vowed that Sia would pay for her subtle attack. The next morning, Sia rose early to make Hamza breakfast, determined to win his affection. She prepared his favorite, a spread of eggs, honeyed bread, and fresh fruit. But as Hamza took his first bite, he gagged and spat out the food. The bread was packed with salt, a switch Tia had made the night before. Sia watched helplessly as Hamza, disappointed and irritated, left the table. In the corner, Tia sat quietly, hiding her smug satisfaction behind a sip of tea. Days passed, and the rivalry deepened. Sia, still furious, targeted Tia's pride. One day, she found Tia's favorite dress laid out for an upcoming festival, a beautiful gown with delicate hand-sewn patterns. In the dead of night, Sia dipped the hem of the dress into black ink. When Tia discovered it the next morning, her humiliation was immediate. She knew Sia had done it, but there was no proof. Forced to wear a plain, ordinary dress, Tia had to endure the whispers and stares at the festival, her social standing taking a quiet hit. But Tia wasn't one to take an insult lightly. At the festival, she spread quiet rumors about Sia's inability to maintain her household. Whispers circulated about Sia's disorganization, her laziness, and how Hamza had to intervene to keep things in order. The rumors quickly took root, and by the end of the day, Sia's reputation had suffered. Hamza, hearing the gossip, grew cold towards Sia, though he never spoke of it directly. The battle between them intensified as each woman tried to outdo the other, but the competition soon shifted to something deeper, the race to bear children. In their village, a woman's worth was closely tied to her ability to produce heirs. Tia was the first to become pregnant, a fact she flaunted subtly but powerfully. She relished in the extra attention Hamza gave her, taking every opportunity to remind Sia of her impending motherhood. Sia, filled with envy, was quick to follow. When she too became pregnant, the household became an even fiercer battlefield. Each woman competed over whose pregnancy was more difficult, whose needs were greater, and who deserved more attention from Hamza. Tia would claim unbearable morning sickness, only for Sia to counter with tales of sleepless nights and fatigue. Hamza, already burdened by the weight of his responsibilities, tried to care for both women, but the constant tug-of-war drained him. When Tia gave birth to a healthy baby boy, the village celebrated her as the mother of Hamza's first son. She basked in the glory, relishing the praise that came her way. But Sia, determined to reclaim her standing, gave birth to twin daughters just months later. Those sons were more highly prized. The twins' arrival shifted the dynamic in the household once again. Sia paraded her daughters proudly, and the competition for Hamza's favor intensified, each woman vying to prove their children were more valuable, more cherished. It wasn't long before Sia took her sabotage to new levels. She would tell the village women that Tia was failing to take care of her son properly, that the boy was often ill because Tia didn't know how to nurse him well. Meanwhile, Tia would claim Sia's daughters were weak, their cries too frequent, a sign that Sia wasn't as attentive as she should be. The gossip spread like wildfire, and soon the village became just as invested in the rivalry as the women themselves. The pranks grew darker. Sia ruined Tia's carefully prepared meals by slipping in sour milk or burnt spices. Tia would sneak into Sia's room and hide her daughter's clothing, forcing Sia to scramble in the mornings. Their battle was no longer just for Hamza's affection, it had consumed their entire existence. The final blow came when Hamza fell gravely ill. His sickness was sudden, and both Tia and Sia rushed to care for him, though their motivations were far from pure. Each woman wanted to be seen as the more devoted wife, hoping that in his weakened state, Hamza would finally declare one of them his favorite. Tia would prepare his bedding and sit by his side, only for Sia to undermine her efforts by criticizing the arrangement of his room. Sia would make him special tea, but Tia would replace it, claiming hers had the better herbs for healing. They cared more for outdoing each other than for Hamza's actual recovery. One evening, as they argued over who should nurse Hamza through the night, he had had enough. Weary and frustrated, Hamza gathered what strength he had and left the house. He needed peace to recover, and peace was the one thing his home no longer provided. Tia and Sia were left behind, alone in the large, silent house. The man they had fought over for years was gone, seeking solace away from their constant bickering. Without Hamza, the very foundation of their rivalry crumbled, leaving them with nothing but the empty space between them. Days passed, and slowly, the pranks and sabotage stopped. There was no one left to impress, no reason to continue their war. The competition had cost them both dearly, but neither could fully admit defeat. Though the battles ceased, the silence between them was thick with the memory of all that had transpired. Their war, once loud and petty, had become a quiet understanding. Both had lost something in their pursuit of being the better wife, the better mother, the more favored woman. In the end, the silent war had only left scars, deep, invisible, and lasting.